This is TWiT.
We've got some hardware coming up, including up next, right now, in fact, my review of this, the OnePlus 11 5G. Let's hit it.
So much hardware this week, Jason.
So much hardware.
That looks pretty.
Can't keep it all together. Yeah, so this is the OnePlus 11 5G. OnePlus had their official announcement and kind of, embargo release immediately following the announcement earlier this morning. So, if you were online and you care about smartphones, you probably saw that suddenly many reviews hit the web today on the OnePlus 11 5G. You'll notice right off the top there is no Pro in the name. It's not like a OnePlus 11 Pro or anything like that. This time around, it is just the OnePlus 11 5G. So you don't have these different kind of variations around the design. So I'm going to do with this review what I've been doing lately. Kind of works for me. Kind of the good, the fine, which is kind of like the indifferent or the whatever. And then the bad, because there are certain things that fall into each category, usually with every phone. Definitely with the OnePlus 11 5G in my time with it. So I've had this phone now for a few weeks. I've been using it as my daily driver. I got my SIM loaded in it, a Mint, basically a T-Mobile SIM loaded in it. And the first thing to know about this phone is this is the first OnePlus phone to launch with 5G support on all major U.S. carriers. So if you're looking for a phone that supports all those 5G variations, you can do that now right at launch. I think you could do that with the previous model, like the 10T. Eventually got that as an update later, but this is the first one that kind of launches with it. The trick, though, is that this phone isn't available in carrier stores, which I find kind of interesting because OnePlus was starting to kind of become visible in carrier stores, T-Mobile especially. And now you're not going to be able to walk into a carrier store here in the U.S. and find the OnePlus 11 5G. Unless I'm mistaken, but through my reading online, that really seemed to be the case. So that's going to limit it a little bit. But so it's almost like here in the U.S., this device is going back to the OnePlus roots, right? You got to order it online. If you want it, you got to find it online. So let's talk about the device itself. Design-wise, again and again, OnePlus has the materials down. I really like this matte back. It doesn't show any fingerprints. It still feels very premium. It's got a nice kind of subtle roughness to it. In some ways, I guess it's kind of like a softer version of the backing that was on the OnePlus One, if you remember way back when it had that kind of tacky back material. But anyways, one big kind of standout is this circular camera protrusion, right? It doesn't come out too far, but it's definitely an eye catcher. You either love it or you hate it, I think. Some people see this and they're like, oh my God, that's really ugly. And other people like it because it's different, right? It stands out. And it definitely does. So design-wise, I mean, I feel like time and time again, they do a really great job. The materials are excellent. The phone feels nice in the hand. They've brought back the alert slider, which they had gotten rid of, and we were like, oh no, is that gone forever? It's back here. So that's good. It's affordable, as a flagship, $699 for the 8 gig. $799 for the 16 gig memory version. It's got excellent performance. It has that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, this is not the only time we're going to talk about that in today's episode. Has a really beautiful 6.7 inch OLED display. In person, it's sharp. It has nice refresh, variable 120 hertz refresh. Actually, it also has the always-on display, and this ramps all the way down to 1 hertz, is my understanding. So it's really ramping all over the place to try and maximize battery, essentially. And so when you're here, like if I'm here and it's dark in the room and I move the phone like this, I can see it kind of jitter, right? Because it's such a slow refresh. But really, that's all you need on the front of the the phone when the screen is off. Super fast charging. It has 80 watt fast charge. That'll take you to full in 30 minutes. Of course, it is proprietary charging, right? So you need their charger in order to benefit from that. But if you've got it, it's a fast charge. It's 5,000 milliamp hour battery. Gave me, in my experience with it, full day support. No worries there. And then, of course, that that OnePlus has its pretty solid software support cycle now. 4 years major OS updates, 5 years security. So you could technically get this device and use it for the next 5 years and be receiving updates that entire time, which is pretty impressive. I love that that's becoming the new standard. And then finally, you've got, I mentioned kind of the camera protrusion. The main camera, which you will see, has a little Hasselblad, written in there. So we've got Hasselblad returning as a partner here on the lenses. I included some photos in the doc if you want to show just a couple of those. But I thought that the main camera lens produces some really great shots. Really fantastic stuff. Some great low light performance. I think that second shot was from a gig that my friends played to, probably about, 50 or 70 people. So is that a concert or is that just a show? Anyways, is there a difference?
It's a gig.
It's a gig.
Show.
It's a gig.
There you go.
Anyways, it was a lot of fun. And I mean, that's pretty solid low light performance. It was not bright in there. They had, a whole kind of light show thing going on. And that looks pretty good to me. To my eyes, maybe a little blown out when you get into the details of of Darby's face, the singer in the band. You know what I mean? You lose a little bit of detail there, but still, it was pretty dark. And I thought, and especially people were moving and stuff. So in low light, to get that kind of shot, that sharpness in the people in the audience where light really wasn't hitting, that's actually pretty impressive, I think. Yeah, that was taken probably 10 seconds earlier, so obviously the lighting had shifted a little bit, but anyways, pretty happy with the images that I took on the main camera. The wide angle also, I think that's the front facing camera, so that's okay. I mean, it's kind of a flat view, but main camera on the back, wide angle, solid. I think where it breaks down a little bit is using the wide angle to get some really close up shots, which I tried. That's about the only way that you can get, some macro style shots. And some of those were fine. Some of them not as good. But overall, I think I was pretty happy with the camera. And actually, if you skip forward a couple of shots, you'll see the old TWiT cottage. I was walking the neighborhood and I was like, oh, there's where TWiT started. That's the house right there. So I was like, oh, it's a little TWiT history. So that's the good. The fine is it's IP64, which is great. It's better than nothing, right? That protects against dust and water spray. No question about it. Not on par, though, with a lot of other competitors in the flagship space that are offering IP68. That's usually what you're used to hearing, and that's dust and water immersion protection. So spray, this is protected. Immersion, not protected at all. So keep that in mind. Like I said earlier, the big circular bump is going to turn some people off. It's going to be a selling point for other people. So, and I'm kind of mixed on it. I think it's unique, but it doesn't upset me in any way. But I'm also not that's an amazing look. It's fine. And then Oxygen OS 12, which could probably also be referred to as Color OS, which is Oppo's UI, is total. Oh, and Shelf. I hate Shelf, so I never activate it. But it's as bubbly as ever. I think it's fine. It's kind of a minimalistic approach, but it's not totally out of the way. And it doesn't offend me. I know that it offends some people. True OnePlus fans hate this Color OS era of Oxygen OS. It doesn't offend me, but it's also, not my favorite in the world. It can be a little, I don't know, painted and bubbly at times. So what about the bad? I have had, including right before the show started, I've had significant mobile internet issues, connectivity issues, to the point to where I've had to restart this phone almost every day at least once. And what happens, and I'm not entirely certain whether it's my SIM, which is Mint Mobile, as I mentioned. By the way, Mint is a sponsor, but that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. Although maybe it does, I don't know. But just so you know. But I've not had that issue in other phones, but I do in this phone. When I've got my Mint Mobile SIM in here, it will just at random times throughout the day, I'll look and I'll realize like, oh, things aren't updating, like when I'm not connected to Wi-Fi. And then I look at it and my mobile connectivity is completely blank. And the only way I can get it back on is to power cycle. I've even turned off the mobile internet in settings and then turned it back on, and that didn't fix it. I had to power cycle. I had some random Bluetooth oddities too, and where it was like connected, but it said it was connected in settings, but it clearly was not connected because nothing was happening. It's like, what is going on? And so it's really hard for me to know exactly what's at fault there, because I did read other people's reviews, and I saw some people allude to some connectivity issues, but not really go into too much deep detail the way I'm talking about here. And I mean, for me, I hate to say it, but it's kind of at the point to where like I'm kind of looking forward to being done with the review so I can put my SIM back into my Pixel, because it's just like I missed a really important message from my daughter a couple of days ago. And, so she spent a half an hour thinking that I wasn't responding to her. Meanwhile, I didn't get it because I didn't know my phone had completely gone off the internet. And so things like that are, like for me, that's a deal breaker. Hard to know whether the phone itself is to blame or if it's my SIM. But like I said, it doesn't do that in other phones. So there you have it. Other things, no wireless charging on a flagship. That is a little odd. But again, as we've talked about in the past, like, how much do you care about wireless charging? I mean, if you're buying a flagship phone of this price category, I kind of feel like you should probably have wireless charging in there. You have in the past, OnePlus, why not this one? And like I said, not sold by any major U.S. carriers. So, bye-bye to any subsidy that you were hoping for or just walking into a store to get it. So I think overall, a nice OnePlus phone. I've seen a lot of reviews say this is OnePlus, this is best phone. If I hadn't had the connectivity issues, I might be there, in that same range, but I'm hesitant to do that because the connectivity issues really bugged me and were really impacted my experience with the phone. The price also, what is it? It's $699 to $799. When you compare that to the Pixel 7, right, which is normally $599, now you can get it on sale for $499. And I don't know, by comparison, it's I'm a Pixel fan. It's hard for me to recommend spending a couple $100 more for this when I believe you can get a better phone for a couple $100 less. So that's my review of the OnePlus 11 5G. What y'all think?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good. I'm happy it's interesting. I don't know. It was just a bummer. The connectivity issue is a real bummer. And
that is, yeah.
It just.
I mean, that's almost a deal breaker, right?
It is for me. But again, like I said, like I don't know if it's the phone or if it's the SIM, but either way, like I could not work my way around it. And there's not a whole lot I can do about that. So, I would say if you're thinking about this phone, read, you've got this review, read other reviews, see some video reviews, see if they're mentioning anything about the mobile connectivity. Could just be me. Could just be like this device, like this particular device that OnePlus sent me, by the way. So, it could just be that I have a bunk device, or it could be a problem. And I think you'll only know that if you check out other people's reviews and see what they have to say. So there you go.
Yep. Looks nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It does look nice. OnePlus always gives a really nice design on their phone. It's
just got to connect under the hood. You made the reservation. You got to hold the reservation.
You got to hold the reservation. Yes, I like it.
I just want to turn that camera dial.
Yeah, it kind of looks like you get rotated or something.
It's beautiful though. I love it. It's very tactile and it's bumping. That's what that is. It's bumping in the best ways. So
yeah, it is. It definitely captures the attention. It's definitely got a very different look to it. But yep, there we go. OnePlus 11 5G.
Tech Break is brought to you by ACI Learning. Future-proof your company and accelerate your team's performance with ACI Learning's virtual instructor-led training or live classrooms at one of ACI's 6 learning hubs across the U.S. Enthusiastic experts are ready to elevate your team's knowledge. Visit acilearning.com and let ACI level up your IT team.